Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down House of the Dragon. The first episode of Season 2 has just come out and it ends in a big bad way. Featuring the entrance of Blood and Cheese, they've come to collect a son for a son. The ending is pretty messed up, but it's actually even worse in the books. Throughout this video, I'm going to discuss it and talk about what actually happens in the work. Obviously, there's going to be heavy spoilers here, so if you don't want it ruined, then I'll recommend you turn off now. If you agree it's worse, then please hit the thumbs up, not the video. If you agree the thing's worse, then please hit the thumbs up, and if you don't, then don't hit the thumbs down. Just close the video and walk away. Now do what you want, mate. A like for a like, and with that out of the way, let's get into Fire and Blood.
They killed the boy.
Okay, so the episode culminates with Daemon arriving at King's Landing by boat. After entering the stronghold, he catches the attention of Blood, who he gives coins to pass through the gates. This is something that's touched upon in the work, with it going on to say, "Let it not be forgotten in his youth, Daemon Targaryen had been prince of the city. His face and laugh familiar to every cut purse, whore, and gambler in Flea Bottom. The prince still had friends in the low places of King's Landing and followers amongst the Gold Cloaks." Very dramatic, and from here he then hires both Blood and Cheese, with him instructing them to go on and get Aemond. Now they do tease things by asking what happens if they can't find him, and we cut before Daemon gives an answer. We then follow Blood and Cheese through the kingdom as they make their way up to where they think Aemond is. Now gonna be honest mate, watching him kick the dog, that actually got to me a bit more than what happens. Think it was that council meeting. Sit down. Now as a father of twins, I can't condone that, but also I've got a dog as well. Lovely little lad. Don't kick the dog, mate. Anyway, they hold Helaena at knife point and tell her to point out who Jaehaerys is. She does, and then carries out her daughter before going to Alicent's room. It's pretty terrifying because she's completely helpless and has to Sophie's choice her kids. Just seeing her run out the room as we see them working on Jaehaerys, it's one of the most messed up deaths in the Game of Thrones universe. However, again, the books went even worse with it, and that's what I want to talk about for the rest of the video. Now, unlike the work, Mysaria wasn't a captive and she'd remained in King's Landing. There, Daemon reached out directly to her and she sought the pair out for this terrible vengeance. The book says, "Amidst the stews of Flea Bottom, Prince Daemon's go-between found suitable instruments. One had been a sergeant in the city's watch, big and brutal. He had lost his gold cloak for beating a whore to death whilst in a drunken rage. The other was a rat catcher in the Red Keep. Their true names are lost to history. They are remembered, would that they were not, as Blood and Cheese." Now we learn that Cheese knew the Red Keep better than the shape of his own cock, which is a line that we get in the episode. From this point they then travel through the hidden doors and secret tunnels that Maegor the Cruel had built. This allowed them to pass by all the guards, with them then heading into the Tower of the Hand. Now it's here that we get our first major difference, as Alicent isn't present in these scenes. She's getting some of that Kristen Pole. Anyway, the book tells us the following. "The two men crept up through the walls, bypassing the spearmen posted at the tower doors. Seato's rooms were of no interest to them. Instead, they slipped into his daughter's chambers 1 floor below. Queen Alicent had taken up residence there after the death of King Viserys, when her son Aegon had moved into Maegor's holdfast with his own queen. Once inside, Cheese bound and gagged the Dowager Queen, whilst Blood strangled her bedmaid. Then they settled down to wait, for they knew it was a custom of Queen Helaena to bring her children to see their grandmother every evening before bed." So already, yeah, Blood strangled someone to death, whereas in the show, he allowed the servant to escape. This was to keep up appearances, but I imagine it'll cause issues down the line. As of making this video, I haven't seen episode 2, so let me know below if I'm right, and if I'm not, let me know I'm stupid. Now things become way more sinister in the work as we learn they waited there in silence whilst Alicent was tied up. I can't imagine how scary that would be for her with these two strangers having her at their mercy. Sure, she gets tied up in the show, but it's with Kristen Pole. I'll stop doing that joke now. Now the work then says, "Blind to her danger, the queen appeared as dusk was settling over the castle, accompanied by her 3 children. Jaehaerys and Jaehaerys were 6, Maelor 2. As they entered the apartments, Helaena was holding his little hand and calling out her mother's name. Blood barred the door and slew the queen's guardsman, whilst Cheese appeared to snatch up Maelor. 'Scream, and you all die,' Blood told her grace. Queen Helaena kept her calm, it is said. 'Who are you?' she demanded of the two. 'Debt collectors,' said Cheese. 'An eye for an eye, a son for a son. We only want the one to square things. Won't hurt the rest of you fine folks, not one little hair. Which one you want to lose, your grace?'" Also, people think I'm not reading the books. I've opened it on the right page. You can zoom in on that, you son of a bitch. Now in the series, Helaena gives up her necklace and does this as a way to try and bargain their way out of it. She even says in the work she'll give up her own life, but they say a wife's not a son. At this point, she's then told her to make her choice or blood was gonna R-word her little girl. Just super messed up, and they basically made her pick between her two sons. Now Helaena picked her youngest Maelor, with it saying it was because he'd be too young to understand. However, there was also the thought that Jaehaerys was the heir, and thus he was next in line for the Iron Throne. This would mean that to her, he was more important, and it was crucial he was kept alive. However, this is where the real twist came in, and Blood and Cheese pulled off a sick trick. Whispering to Maelor, they then said, "You hear that, little boy? Your mama wants you dead." Blood then gave a grin and swung his sword at Jaehaerys. Now the book says it beheaded him in a single blow, and that Queen Helaena screamed out in agony. So you can see how it's way more messed up, with them basically taking away the son she chose to live. And this became an even bigger issue for her, as she didn't exactly know how much Maelor knew. Potentially, he just heard his mother order his death, and might live knowing that he was chosen to die by the woman that was supposed to care for him. However, he was only 2 years old, so there was this back and forth over whether he understood. The truth is, Helaena never knew, but slowly this ate away at her. Now for the next part of the video, I'm going to talk about what happened next, and obviously this could spoil some of the show. So if you don't want to know, then turn off now, because it deals with the fates of these characters. Also, if you're enjoying the video and you want to support the channel, then check out our merch store right below the video. There we have 3 House of the Dragon inspired shirts, with the first of the 2 being based on the greens and blacks. Show your allegiances, and also check out our Dragons Drama and Destiny shirt, and a huge thank you to everyone who's picked one up. Also, I'm getting the spoilers from this thing. Someone's wrote a big book about all the spoilers for House of the Dragon Season 2. HBO will not be happy. Now after the death of Jaehaerys, we learn Blood and Cheese kept their word and didn't harm anyone else. The work tells us, 2 days later, Blood was seized at the Gate of the Gods, trying to leave King's Landing with the head of Prince Jaehaerys hidden in one of his saddle sacks. Under torture, he confessed that he'd been taking it to Harrenhal to collect his reward from Prince Daemon. He also gave up a description of the whore he claimed had hired them, an older woman, foreign by her talk, cloaked and hooded, very pale, though the harlots called her Misery. After 13 days of torment, Blood was at last allowed to die. Queen Alicent had commanded Larys Clubfoot to learn his true name so that she might bathe in the blood of his wife and children, but our sources do not say if this occurred. Sir Lethal Argent and his gold cloak searched the street of Silk from top to bottom, and turned out and stripped every harlot in King's Landing, but no trace of Cheese or the White Worm were ever found. In his grief and fury, King Aegon II commanded that all the city's rat catchers be taken out and hanged, and this was done. Sir Otto Hightower brought 100 cats into the Red Keep to keep their place. Now, we then learned about what happened with Helaena. Though Blood and Cheese had spared her life, Queen Helaena cannot be said to have survived that fateful dusk. Afterwards, she would not eat nor bathe, nor leave her chambers, and she could no longer stand to look upon her son Maelor, knowing that she had named him to die. The king had no recourse but to take the boy from her and give him over to their mother, the Dowager Queen Alicent, to raise as if he were her own. Aegon and his wife slept separately thereafter, and Queen Helaena sank deeper and deeper into madness, whilst the king raged and drank and raged. Now we learn that in the end, Helaena couldn't bear the torment anymore, and that she became a wreck. What happened to her, we don't fully know, but we do know that she died. It's said that when Rhaenyra took over King's Landing, that she then sold her to Mysaria. Mysaria apparently then pimped her through her brothels, where she was forced to work day and night. She apparently fell pregnant, which made things even worse because it had all come from her being forced to do this work. Mysaria apparently told her that Maelor had been killed as well, and there's rumours she received his head stuffed in a chamber pot. Some witnesses say Rhaenyra learned of it and ended up instantly weeping. However, others say that she was the one who had it sent to Helaena, and we'll see how the show ends up going with it. Rhaenyra is a really nice person in the series from what we've seen, well, most of the time from what we've seen so far, so I do feel like they are going to pull their punches with that. Either way, what happened next, we don't fully know, and there were rumours that she was murdered. However, the most widely accepted story is that she flung herself out the window and landed on the spikes that lined the walls and gates below. She was just 21 years old. Sound like a bit of a true crime podcaster there. She's not real, but it's still pretty messed up. Either way, that's what happened with Blood and Cheese and how it kind of spun out and had major repercussions. Now, obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it below and what you thought of how they did it in the episode. Make sure you leave your comments and let me know as well what way you think they'll go with Helaena. Please drop a like on the video, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. You'll get early access to videos every week, and it goes a massive way towards helping us out. Now if you want something else to watch, we've also broken down episode 1, which will be linked on screen right now. It's one of our most in-depth breakdowns on the series that we've ever done, and guess what kids, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff. So yeah, definitely head over there after this. You want to hear more blood and cheese? I've got you covered, mate, and I'll see you on the next one. But out of the way, huge thank you for clicking this. I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.